George Washington. The first president of the United States had a preference for simple yet hearty meals. His favorite foods included roasted meats, hazelnuts, hot chocolate, honey, and hoecakes, a type of fried cornbread similar to pancakes. Additionally, Washington was particularly fond of cherries. He often started his day with hoecakes slathered in honey, washed down with a cup of rich hot chocolate. John Adams. Like Washington, Adams favored straightforward New England cuisine. His preferred dishes were codfish cakes, a mixture of salted cod and potatoes, and apple pan dowdy, a spiced baked apple dessert with a crumbly crust. He believed in eating for sustenance rather than indulgence, often enjoying simple rustic meals that reminded him of his Massachusetts roots. Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson played a significant role in popularizing macaroni and cheese in America after encountering it in Europe. He also enjoyed fried potatoes, turnip greens, and Virginia ham, reflecting his Southern tastes. Jefferson was known for his gourmet interests and even imported French chefs to work in his Monticello kitchen, James Madison. While Madison's personal food preferences remain unclear, his wife, Dolly Madison, famously introduced ice cream to White House social events. Thus, it is often humorously suggested that Madison's favorite was oyster ice cream, an unusual delicacy by modern standards. Although not a foodie himself, Madison was supportive of Dolly's efforts to make White House hospitality more elegant and enjoyable. James Monroe. Monroe had a sweet tooth, with spoon bread, a soft pudding-like cornbread being his favorite. This dish is comparable to bread pudding, a rich dessert made with bread, eggs, milk, and sugar. His Virginia upbringing influenced his love for traditional Southern comfort foods, often served during state dinners. John Quincy Adams. Adams showed little interest in elaborate meals, but had a strong preference for fresh fruit. He even planted fruit trees on the White House grounds to ensure a steady supply. His diaries often mention meals consisting almost entirely of fruit, reflecting his austere and health-conscious lifestyle. Andrew Jackson. Jackson enjoyed hearty Southern fare, particularly a dish called leather breeches, green beans cooked with bacon. For dessert, he favored blancmange, a milk-based pudding thickened with cornstarch. He valued traditional frontier cooking that reflected his populist image and humble beginnings. Martin Van Buren. Van Buren had a notable fondness for apples, consuming them in various forms, including apple donuts and apple cake. He also relished oysters and a wide variety of meats. A lover of rich meals, Van Buren often entertained with abundant spreads that highlighted both his Dutch heritage and American tastes. William Henry Harrison. Harrison's diet included squirrel stew, a common frontier dish at the time, as well as fresh vegetables, unusual for a period when many children avoided greens. As a man of the frontier, his diet reflected the practical and readily available foods of early American settlers. John Tyler. Tyler had a pronounced sweet tooth, favoring puddings of all kinds. His frequent serving of sugar pie to guests led to the dessert being nicknamed Tyler's Pudding Pie. He was known to enjoy several small desserts at each meal, particularly those with rich, creamy textures. James K. Polk. Polk's tastes leaned towards Southern comfort food, with cornbread being his staple. He also enjoyed vinegar pie, a sweet and tart dessert made with vinegar, sugar, and eggs. Despite his busy schedule, he made time for home-style meals that reminded him of his Tennessee upbringing. Zachary Taylor. Taylor appreciated both Southern and Creole cuisine, particularly rice calas, a fried rice fritter. Like Adams, he also loved fruit, especially cherries, which he reportedly ate shortly before his death. His soldiers often remembered his preference for robust, spicy dishes, a reflection of his years stationed in Louisiana. Millard Fillmore. Fillmore preferred simple, unexciting meals, with soup and stew being his top choices. Despite his bland tastes, he modernized the White House kitchen, introducing new cooking technologies. He saw meals as a necessity rather than a pleasure, often opting for utilitarian dishes over luxurious spreads. Franklin Pierce. Pierce likely favored New England classics such as clam chowder, fried clams, and apple pie, though he did not host many formal dinners, leaving some ambiguity. His quiet demeanor and dislike of extravagance were reflected in the modest meals he preferred. James Buchanan. Buchanan's tastes were unexpectedly plain, with a documented love for Philadelphia butter and cabbage. Hardly the lavish dishes one might expect from a president known for extravagant dinner parties. He reportedly consumed large quantities of food, favoring simple, hearty meals over sophisticated fare. Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln had modest eating habits, but particularly enjoyed bacon, chicken fricassee, a slow-cooked chicken dish in gravy, cornbread, and gingerbread cookies. He often skipped breakfast and ate lightly during the day, preferring his favorite treats late at night. Andrew Johnson. Johnson's favorite dish was Hoppin' John, a Southern staple made with rice, black-eyed peas, and pork. His tastes aligned with traditional comfort food. He grew up in poverty and never lost his appreciation for simple, satisfying meals. Ulysses S. Grant. Grant preferred simplicity in his meals, with rice pudding being his favorite. He even had his own lemon-flavored variation of the dish. Despite his military background, he had a sweet tooth and often requested desserts at the end of his meals. Rutherford B. Hayes. Hayes was particularly fond of his wife Lucy's cornmeal pancakes. He maintained disciplined eating habits, avoiding excess. Known for his temperance values, he helped enforce a no-alcohol policy at White House events. James A. Garfield. Garfield's difficult final months limited his diet, but he was known to enjoy squirrel soup, a dish shared with William Henry Harrison. Before his presidency, he often hunted small game himself, reflecting his connection to rural traditions. Chester A. Arthur. Arthur's favorite meal was mutton chops, humorously matching his distinctive facial hairstyle. He often dined on a single chop per night. Known for his refined tastes, he enjoyed elegant meals and had a personal chef trained in French cuisine. Grover Cleveland. Cleveland indulged in rich foods, with corned beef and cabbage, as well as pickled herring among his favorites. Choices that might seem unusual today. His large appetite was well known, and he often enjoyed multiple hearty meals each day. Benjamin Harrison. Harrison had a strong preference for corn-based dishes. His family hosted grand feasts at the White House, including one featuring turtle meat. He saw food as a way to bring people together, and often used dinners to foster political relationships. William McKinley. McKinley was a voracious meat eater, enjoying nearly every type of animal protein. He was also a breakfast enthusiast, popularizing a special egg casserole known as the McKinley omelette. Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt especially enjoyed steak and fried chicken, and was known to be able to eat an entire chicken in one sitting. For his 42nd birthday dinner, he was served a lavish meal, including Blue Point oysters, green turtle soup, fillet of beef, quail with bread sauce, and cakes with biscuit tortoni for dessert. William Howard Taft. President Taft was known for his hearty appetite and love of rich, filling meals. He particularly favored steak and potatoes, often consuming a 12-ounce steak at every meal, and sometimes even 2 steaks for dinner. Taft enjoyed traditional American fare and leaned heavily toward meat-heavy, substantial dishes. His weight was a frequent topic in the press, and his staff sometimes tried to manage his portions behind the scenes. Woodrow Wilson. Wilson had simple and medically motivated eating habits. He typically started his day with 2 raw eggs stirred into a glass with grape juice, due to health concerns. For other meals, he preferred light fare like chicken salad. He didn't indulge much in sweets or rich meals, and often approached food more for sustenance than for pleasure. Warren Harding. Harding had a strong preference for American comfort food, especially chicken pot pie, which reminded him of home. He also enjoyed knockwurst and sauerkraut, perhaps reflecting the German culinary influence prevalent in parts of the Midwest. His dining style was informal, hearty, and focused on familiar, satisfying meals. Calvin Coolidge. Coolidge was known for his peculiar and adventurous palate. He loved pickles, often eating them with nearly every meal. He also developed a taste for Chinese-American cuisine, including dishes like chicken chop suey and chow mein. One of his stranger preferences was apple pie made with pork, blending sweet and savory flavors in a way few others appreciated. Herbert Hoover. Hoover's favorite dish was sweet potatoes topped with marshmallows, a sweet, Southern-style favorite. He loved the dish so much that he had his own personal recipe for it. His overall tastes leaned toward comforting, familiar American dishes, and he avoided overly fancy or foreign foods. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Roosevelt enjoyed simple yet comforting foods like grilled cheese sandwiches, hot dogs, and scrambled eggs. He also loved fish chowder, often served during meals at his Hyde Park home. One of his most iconic food moments was serving hot dogs to the King and Queen of England, an informal but friendly gesture that became legendary. Harry S. Truman. Truman appreciated home-cooked Midwestern meals, especially his mother's fried chicken. He liked his steak well done, and he frequently ate meatloaf, though he insisted it contained no onions, which he strongly disliked. He was not a fan of extravagant or elaborate food, and often emphasized simple, honest dishes. Dwight D. Eisenhower. Eisenhower loved to cook himself, and was known for his own recipes, including his beef stew, vegetable soup, and corn pudding. A favorite family treat was Mamie Eisenhower's $1,000,000 fudge, which became widely popular. His culinary tastes reflected his practical, straightforward personality. John F. Kennedy. Kennedy's New England roots showed in his deep appreciation for clam chowder, which was often served at White House meals. He generally enjoyed light, elegant foods, often preferring seafood, roast chicken, and vegetables. His breakfasts were minimal, typically consisting of juice, eggs, and toast, and he avoided overly rich foods. Lyndon B. Johnson. Johnson had a love for bold, spicy Southern food. He enjoyed barbecue, deer sausage, chicken fried steak, cornbread, grits, and a wide variety of Tex-Mex dishes. He was proud of Texas cooking and often entertained guests with hearty, rustic meals at his ranch. Richard Nixon. Nixon had a famously unusual preference for cottage cheese with ketchup, a combination he often ate for lunch. He also liked meatloaf and fruit-based desserts, particularly apple pie. His tastes were plain and consistent, favoring routine over novelty. Gerald Ford. Ford enjoyed traditional family meals, especially pot roast with red cabbage, a dish from his Midwestern background. For dessert, he had a soft spot for butter pecan ice cream, which was regularly stocked at the White House. His food preferences were simple and comforting, with an emphasis on familiar American fare. Jimmy Carter. Carter grew up in Georgia and had a deep love for grits, which he ate regularly, almost daily, even during his presidency. He also enjoyed Southern-style vegetables, cornbread, and peanut-based dishes, reflecting his upbringing as a peanut farmer. Even his dog was named Grits as a tribute to his favorite food. Ronald Reagan. Reagan's signature treat was Jelly Belly jelly beans, which he enjoyed so much that he kept them in the Oval Office and distributed them at events. He also liked classic comfort foods such as mac and cheese, meatloaf, and hamburgers. His sweet tooth was well known, and his love of jelly beans became a symbol of his presidency. George H.W. Bush. Bush had a taste for pork rinds, which he snacked on frequently. He made headlines when he publicly stated his dislike of broccoli, even banning it from Air Force One. He enjoyed simple, savory meals, especially Tex-Mex dishes, reflecting his Texas roots. Bill Clinton. Clinton was famous for his love of fast food, particularly McDonald's cheeseburgers and Egg McMuffins. He also loved fried chicken, chili, and ribs. His eating habits reflected a deep affection for Southern comfort food and indulgent favorites, though he later adopted a mostly plant-based diet for health reasons. George W. Bush. Bush enjoyed cheeseburger pizza, a unique creation topped with ground beef, bacon, pickles, ketchup, and mustard. He also had a strong preference for Tex-Mex cuisine, including enchiladas, tacos, and chips with guacamole. His tastes were influenced by his Texas upbringing and favored hearty, spicy meals. Barack Obama. Obama balanced healthy eating with a love of flavorful foods. He frequently ate broccoli and enjoyed dishes like nachos, guacamole, and cheeseburgers. But they had to be high quality and well prepared. He also liked to cook his own chili and was known to explore local food scenes while traveling. Donald Trump. Trump had a strong preference for fast food, favoring McDonald's Big Macs, filet-o-fish sandwiches, fried chicken, and pizza, often eaten without the crust. He liked his steaks well done with ketchup and often chose food that was predictable, mass-produced, and quickly served, aligning with his fast-paced, business-oriented lifestyle. Joe Biden. Biden is passionate about ice cream, especially chocolate chip, and frequently mentions it in interviews or public appearances. He also enjoys fast food, pizza, and Italian-American dishes, like pasta with red sauce. His unpretentious taste in food contributes to his image as a relatable everyman president.